each of you to shout your own name. Do that. Because it's about all of us. It's about all of us. And listen.
You in favor of getting rid of the filibuster?
So I think we've got to figure out a way that we make sure that we can govern again.
So that's a yes?
The Senate right now
no, is that a yes?
Capable of governing.
You
so
think
I do think that that's going to be an important policy to try to figure out how we actually get a functioning
That means
Senate.
D.C. becomes a state. That means the Supreme Court gets some additional members. That would mean a lot of...
I think it's about policy working and governance. Again, if we're going to actually make sure that we are going to move policy forward and Congress is going to do its part, then we need policymakers who are serious about governing. And we don't have people who are serious about governing in charge of the House right now.
As we all know, this election is incredibly important. If the leftists actually take over, they are going to change the very framework of this nation, as was admitted to there by Suzan DelBene. She, of course, is the Democrat Congressional Committee chair, and she comes out and straight up admits that, yes, they want to get rid of the filibuster. Now, this shouldn't be shocking because just the other day, Tim Walz and AOC said the exact same thing. Now, of course, what will be the result of this? As was mentioned, they want to give statehood to D.C., but also they have their eye on Puerto Rico, both left-leaning places that, of course, will give them extra power in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, thus creating basically a permanent advantage for the Democrats. And also they want to grant mass amnesty to all of the millions upon millions of illegals they've shipped to red states across this nation, thus, of course, eroding the majority, even in the places we thought to be strongholds, right? That's the plan. That's what they want. That's the ultimate goal for all of these crazy socialist communist leftists. But the good news is that Kamala Harris is the worst candidate that the Democrat Party could have settled on. She's very unlikable, which of course is why her base is abandoning her, which of course is even better news for Donald Trump. So recently she went on the Shay Shay podcast to try to reach out to black men because she is losing them in droves. Let's go ahead and check this out. Before we get to the clips, please like and comment so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
So part of what we have to help people understand is don't think you're in Donald Trump's club. You're not.
Right.
He's not going to be thinking about you. You think he's having you over for dinner? You think that when he's with his buddies, his billionaire buddies, he's thinking about what we need to do to deal with addressing, for example, my work around what I'm doing to address disparities in black men's health, around colon cancer, around what we need to do around screenings, what we need to do around prostate cancer. Black men are twice as likely to have, and screenings. What we need to do to address...
I'm a survivor of prostate cancer.
Right. You know what I'm talking about.
How privileged I feel to hear Kamala Harris actually unveil a new accent, this one aimed at young black male voters, who of course are leaving her in large amounts in support of Donald Trump. Nearly 20%. If that holds up, it will be a game changer. It will be phenomenal. This will crush the Democrats, okay? But Kamala Harris, what did she come out and say? Donald Trump's not your friend. Yeah, here's the problem with that. He actually was very supportive of everyone back in his first administration. Unlike you, Kamala Harris, that crushed small business, that of course shut down people's jobs, that would let people leave their homes for months at a time, right? That is what Kamala Harris's legacy is. And of course, don't worry, we have the high food prices, the high gas prices, the high home prices to add on top of that. And that's why she's having trouble with all types of demographics, not just the black vote. But here she is trying to shore up their base, saying, hey, please trust me, I'm the one who's really going to help you out. Because Donald Trump, all he cares about is his billionaire friends, even though your campaign is getting millions upon millions of dollars from billionaires for some odd reason. Yeah, no back scratching is going to be happening there, right? So no one believes what Kamala Harris is selling, and that's what makes Trump so appealing, because we already know what he's got. But also he has a very wide swath of support from very interesting people, as is pointed out here with Megyn Kelly and Zachary Levi.
That's an exciting thought, to think of RFKJ going in there and cracking down on groups like the FDA and all these others who work together to keep us sick.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, that was part of my journey. I was a Bobby Kennedy guy. I still feel like he would be the best president. I think he would be such an incredible president. And I supported him, and I was with him, and I was doing everything I could for his campaign. The Democratic Party, not Trump and the Republicans, the Democratic Party made it impossible for him to run. That's a fact. So, and then ultimately having, a non-primary, a non-democratic primary, just putting Kamala into where she was. But I went through Bobby. To me, Bobby is somebody who really understands. And by the way, also, I love his eloquence. I love that he reaches across. I love that he has so many reasons that he could spill and spew so much hate about so many people, given the history of his own family and what our government, I believe, has absolutely done to his father and to his uncle. And he doesn't do that. He takes the high road every single time. And he really understands what's going on, particularly with the health of this nation and the corruption that is going on in our food industry, our agricultural industry, our pharmaceutical industry, our energy industry, all of these industries, because that's what happens when you have lobbyists, when you have special interests, when you have money that can go from an industry to a politician in order to grease wheels, which is what we've been doing for far too long. You get so much corruption, and Bobby knows that, and Bobby really can get in there and do it. So once he dropped out, and once he and Trump really came together and they formed this unity movement, and then for Tulsi Gabbard to come in, I mean, really, Tulsi, she's how I ended up getting involved in all of this, because we became friends. I told her what I was concerned with and that I thought she and Bobby were amazing, and that as difficult as it can be sometimes to want to stand in this Trump campaign because of those things that I might have issue with, I know at the end of the day, he's still the right of these two options, the right way to go. And then Tulsi said, hey, listen, it will, this could be a difficult thing for you, but if you wanted to moderate our town hall, Bobby and I are going to do a town hall with the Trump campaign in Michigan. And I really felt like that was, as I thought and prayed, like, God, if you want me to really step into all of this, I need you to tell me, I need you to call me into this. And then for Tulsi to literally call me and say, would you want to do this? I prayed, I thought, I said, okay, I think this is that moment where I can do what I need to do. But because, like you're saying, I'm not voting for Donald Trump. I'm voting for Donald Trump and Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard and Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk and JD Vance and everyone else that they're going to bring in this team, this Avengers, this Voltron, whatever you want to call it. And they're going to get in there and actually do what Donald Trump said he was going to do the first time, which is drain the swamp. And he has admitted that he couldn't do it, and he didn't do it because he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't even think he was going to win the first time. And he had no time for his transition team. And then it was loaded with a bunch of sycophants and horrible people that were the swamp monsters that Bobby Kennedy has very accurately pointed out. And so now they're privately funding. I love this, that Trump is privately funding his own transition team, not waiting for the government. So they are ready to go. And they are not compromised. That is the government that I want. That is something. Bobby is 100%. He and Tulsi are going to be let loose to be the bulldogs that we need to hold people to account. And by the way, and they will do it fairly. They will do it civilly. They will do it in love. I've sat with both of them. They are incredibly wonderful human people that really want, and which is why, by the way, they're not it's fascinating to me that the Democrats want to tout Cheney endorsing Kamala as if that's a good thing, as if somehow that's like a feather in the cap. That's a guy that almost everyone could agree on, both right and left. Once we all found out the weapons of mass destruction was a lie, all of us could go, that's not a guy we want. That's not a guy we want to trust. So his endorsement to me is nonsense. For Bobby and Tulsi, lifelong Democrats, to literally leave their party and say, no, the polls have shifted. If the Republican Party is now the party of peace and free speech and all of these things, and actually holding big business and industry accountable, then by God, that's where they want to be. And that's where we should all want to be.
So that's what I find most interesting there. Zachary Levi is saying he was brought along for the ride. He liked RFK Jr. He liked Tulsi Gabbard. He likes Vivek Ramaswamy. He likes Elon Musk, right? He likes all of them. And they're all attached, of course, now to Donald Trump's campaign. So who's he voting for? Not just Donald Trump, but for everyone else he's bringing with him. All of those thought leaders, for lack of a better word, who are going to help Donald Trump achieve his original mission of draining the swamp and hopefully lowering taxes and making America safe, secure, etc. Which, of course, brings us even better news, right? As we can see over here, the latest numbers for Nate Silver show Donald Trump with a 55% chance of winning. Now, I've been referring to this as a poll in the past, and I shouldn't have been doing that. It's more of a probability that he sets up and runs. It's not actual polling, etc. But it is something the left loves to tout, so I'm going to tout it as well when it swings over in our favor, right? Donald Trump, 55% chance to Kamala Harris's 44.6% chance. But hey, this is just the latest in several polls and aggregates that we have been citing on this channel for several months. But of course, it does show the shift, at least in perception, towards Donald Trump and away from Kamala Harris. And honestly, at this point, it seems like the only thing that's really going to beat Donald Trump is a whole bunch of shenanigans at the ballot box. But of course, these things never happen, right?
The crisis of public trust in our elections is a real problem. And if we can shore up that trust in a way that says we're done, nobody wants to be complaining. Certainly I don't want to be complaining, or anyone on my side to be complaining about stolen elections or election integrity. The easiest way to move it forward is to do it the way that Puerto Rico does it today. And I think that many countries do it this way. We've done it this way in the past with respect to paper ballots in our country. I don't think government-issued ID should be controversial.
But you know,
the
most
fact
people
that many
have
people,
paper ballots.
If I may finish, Brianna, the fact that many people find government-issued ID requirements to be controversial is actually what breeds that mistrust about election integrity in the first place.
Okay, I do just want to be clear.
Are themselves
that
controversial
most
reveals
people
a real
have,
issue.
Most people, there is a paper ballot, and there is a paper trail, that the process by which they're doing it generates a paper ballot, a paper trail to show how they have voted. So this idea that like a bunch of people are voting and it just kind of goes off into the ether, that doesn't happen. We're talking about
Brianna,
the vast majority.
You didn't hear me say that.
I didn't interrupt you, sir. The vast majority of people. So it's sort of, I'm just curious because it seems like also to the point of the ID, this idea of like non-citizen voting, it's already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections with threat of prosecution and deportation as a deterrent, which may be why it just doesn't happen in any meaningful number, including in your home state. I just wonder in both of these cases, are you promoting a solution to solve problems that don't exist?
I'm promoting a solution to address a problem that does exist, which is the loss of public confidence in elections against the backdrop of voter fraud that is real.
Well,
Nobody's
why do you
denied
think
the
there's
existence.
a loss in confidence?
Nobody. Whoa. You just said you weren't interrupting me, and then you're interrupting me, Brianna.
Well,
if I
now
may
I
finish
am.
answering
I
the
am.
question.
Because
if I
we're
may
running
finish
out of
answering the
time.
question.
Why do you think there's a loss in confidence?
I think there's a loss in confidence because there are unknown numbers of illegal migrants in this country, and I think there's a big loss of confidence because people object to the idea of using voter IDs, the same IDs you're required to drive a car. Why is it objectionable to use that to actually be a requirement to vote? The fact that people call that racist to shut down debate, yes, I do think that breeds public mistrust.
I do.
So here's what
I'm
I
going
want.
to interrupt you because
best
practices.
I don't want complaints about election integrity. I don't want us fighting over stolen elections.
Include cross-referencing votes with the DMV and Social Security to make sure that that doesn't happen.
I firmly believe now that if you are against voter ID, you basically want elections to be stolen. You would do anything to stop conservatives or Republicans from coming into power. And I find it laughable for this pundit to actually come out and say, you know, it's actually illegal for non-citizens to vote, right? They could be deported. Yeah, but who's actually doing that? Who's actually checking? And the answer, of course, is no one. As we saw in 2020, it didn't matter how many ballots we pulled up and said, hey, these are fraudulent, these violate laws, these addresses don't exist. They were counted anyway, whether they had a paper trail or not. What we learned is that as soon as a fraudulent vote is put into the system, it gets counted and there is no recourse. But of course, she says this never actually happens, even though over here in Colorado, thousands of votes are already cast in Mesa County, and they're going to be re-examined for evidence of voter fraud to the tune of 30,000 previously cast ballots, right? They're going to relook at all of these because they actually found 12, all right? 12 were fraudulent, so I don't have to relook at everything, but that's only the ones they found. And that may not sound like a big deal, so okay, let's come over here to Pennsylvania, where they actually found 2,500 voter registrations that were in one county alone. And this looks like it's going to be even wider spread, so they're investigating that right now. But also, we have over here in Wisconsin, 31,000 mail-in ballots requested at ineligible addresses. So this is a problem. This is something that does happen, and the easy way to fix it would be to verify every single voter is actually a citizen and a resident of the United States and the state they're voting in. Easy fix. But of course, if you're for this, for some reason that makes you a racist or something like that, okay? And that is exactly the lie that the left is always telling. They want to be able to steal our elections and have no one look at the results. And that is the main thing that has me worried about this upcoming election season. But of course, we can bypass all of that if we can make it too big to rig. Get out there and vote. We are down to 1 week left. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.